Tensions boiled over at the August 28th Blue Ribbon Election Committee hearing in Clarkesville as lawmakers and state election board members clashed over the future of Georgia elections. The debate underscored the divide. Should the SEB gain more authority or be dissolved altogether? To understand this debate and the formation of Georgia's Blue Ribbon Committee, you have to go back to 2020. That year's fraud claims ignited a political firestorm that has never fully subsided. Sweeping voting law changes in 2021 and a wave of lawsuits over the state election board rulemaking kept the state mired in conflict. By 2025, lawmakers moved to create a Blue Ribbon Committee, tasked with untangling the power struggles between the legislature, the Secretary of State, and State Election Board, and restoring public trust before the 2026 session. Take a moment to review the highlights of this meeting.
Okay, Ms. King, I saw a video circulating on social media, and you were accompanying your husband. I think it was a Walker County GOP meeting. Yes. And your husband was invited as a candidate for Secretary of State. And you gave up and gave remarks introducing your husband, introduced yourself as a member of the State Election Board, spoke about your work on the State Election Board, spoke about the work of the State Election Board as it intersected with the Secretary of State's office and the election function, made criticizing remarks about people currently in the Secretary of State's office, staff of the Secretary of State's office, importantly, potential political opposition of your husband at the Secretary of State's office. Now, I view that very clearly as a conflict of interest. That is the definition of a conflict of interest. At the very least, it presents an issue where the optics are such that Georgians cannot trust your intentions on the state election board because someone very close to you is now a candidate for office, and not just any candidate for office, one that is running for a position to administer elections.
Let me be clear.
Yeah. I trust you now.
Let me be very clear. First of all, it becomes a conflict if there were decisions that I was making that will directly benefit my spouse. There's no decision that I made as a state member of the board, state election board, that directly benefits any candidate. I made it very clear that I believe in balance. I am still a wife. And so being able to support my husband is something that I have the right to do. Talking about the issues that I experience when it comes to the Secretary of State's office has nothing to do with me trying to amplify anything. It has everything to do with the errors and the mistakes and the issues that's happening in that office.
I've never served under a more dysfunctional, dishonest chairman than Chairman John Revere. I don't want that collapse, and that should not be collapsed. That should grieve our hearts. It does. And it grieves mine to have to say that. And I only say that to this committee because you deserve to know. You deserve to know.
You know, I felt during your presentation, frankly, some of the presentations today, I felt like I was at home managing fights between my kids. There has been so much finger pointing and blaming and naming and frankly just behavior that falls far beneath, I think, the respectability of this process and this committee. And when we talk about dysfunction, it's not just the dysfunction of the board, but it's embarrassing, frankly. There's so many agencies and committees across Georgia that don't touch this level of dysfunction. I have followed the SEB for many years across many different members, and it has never, ever reached this level of dysfunction. I think when you specifically call out individuals by name, call them names in front of a room like this, I mean, there's certainly a place for speaking truth and letting us know as a committee about the issues and challenges that you are facing. But I think we've gone well beyond that line. If I were in my professional settings, if I were to go to my boss and tell them some of the things that you have said to me about your boss and said to them all these things about the dysfunction, the details of the dysfunction, I think you're kind of telling on yourself. Right? I mean, at what point are you able to